Hey everyone, and welcome! Today, we're going to look at our planet in a way you've probably never thought of before. Not as just a bunch of separate things, oceans, mountains, air, but as one single living, breathing entity. Let's dive in and see what that really means.
So I want to start with a huge question. Is the Earth alive? Now, hold on. I don't mean it has a literal heartbeat or is thinking thoughts. But what if it behaves like a living thing? What if it breathes and regulates its own temperature and moves energy around in a way that is just so much more complex and coordinated than we ever give it credit for?
And the word that really unlocks all of this is system. A system is just a bunch of different parts that are all connected, they all influence each other to create this big, complex whole. And when you think about it that way, you realize Earth is the ultimate system. It's this incredible system of systems, all woven together. So who are the main players on this global team? Well, scientists like to break it down into 5 major parts, or what they call spheres. You can think of them as the planet's starting lineup, right? Each one has its own job, but they're all constantly talking to each other and working together. First up, we've got the geosphere. This is all the solid stuff, from the tip of Mount Everest down to the deepest parts of the ocean floor and all the way to the planet's blazing hot core. It's literally the foundation of our world. It gives us the ground to stand on and all the raw materials, like soil and minerals, that life needs to get going. Next, wrapping around all of that is the atmosphere. This is that super thin but absolutely vital blanket of gas that surrounds us. And it does so much more than just give us oxygen. It's like our planet's personal bodyguard. It shields us from nasty solar radiation, traps just enough heat to keep us warm, and it creates all the wind and weather that make our world so dynamic. Then, of course, there's the hydrosphere. This is all the water on Earth, in every single form you can imagine. We're talking vast oceans, giant frozen glaciers, rivers, lakes, and even the water that's hidden deep underground. And water is amazing at storing and moving heat. So the hydrosphere basically acts as the planet's circulatory system, pumping energy all around the globe to keep our climate in check. And woven through all of these other spheres is the biosphere. This is life. It's every single plant, every animal, every tiny microbe, and yeah, that includes us. But here's the cool part. The biosphere doesn't just live on the Earth, it actively changes it. I mean, just think about how a massive forest can literally create its own weather, or how ancient life forms produce the oxygen we're all breathing right now. And finally, let's look up to the exosphere. That's the vastness of space right outside our atmosphere. And it's not just empty blackness out there. It's our direct connection to the universe. It's where we get almost all of our energy, thanks to the sun. And it's where our planet's magnetic field puts up this crucial force field, deflecting that constant storm of particles called the solar wind. Okay, so let's take a closer look at that atmospheric blanket. We just call it air, right? But check this out. It's almost all nitrogen. A whopping 78%. The oxygen that we literally need for every breath we take, that's only about 21%. Everything else is just a tiny, tiny sliver. Now this one really puts things in perspective. We call Earth the blue planet, but look at this. More than 97% of all that blue is salty ocean water. And that little bitty slice of fresh water, just 2.8%, the vast majority of that is locked away as ice. It really makes you realize just how precious the fresh water we can actually use is. All right, so we've met the whole team, but the real story, the real magic, isn't in the players themselves, it's in how they interact. These spheres are in a constant, non-stop conversation where one little event in one sphere can set off a massive chain reaction through all the others. This table is a great little cheat sheet for that global conversation. So, for example, when the geosphere acts up, let's say a volcano erupts, it shoots a ton of gas straight into the atmosphere. Or an earthquake on the seafloor, that's the geosphere again, can trigger a gigantic tsunami in the hydrosphere. And it goes the other way too. Water evaporating from the hydrosphere provides the fuel that builds a monster typhoon in the atmosphere. See? It's all connected. Let's just zoom in on one of those for a second, because it's such a powerful example. A tsunami isn't just a big wave. It is a direct and often terrifying message sent from the solid Earth, the geosphere, to the oceans, the hydrosphere. A violent shift of the seafloor transfers this unbelievable amount of energy into the water, creating a force that can travel across an entire ocean. And on the flip side, for a much, much more beautiful example of this planetary chat, just look at the aurora. This is a conversation between outer space, the exosphere, and our own atmosphere. You have these charged particles zipping from the sun, they get caught and guided by Earth's magnetic field, and then they slam into the gases high up in our atmosphere, making them light up. It's literally a cosmic light show powered by this planetary connection. So what's the engine driving this whole incredible machine? Where does all the power come from to keep this system running? Well, it really boils down to two energy sources from inside the system and one absolutely gigantic source from the outside. Wow. I mean, just look at this chart. It's not even a competition, is it? You've got energy bubbling up from the Earth's hot interior that drives things like volcanoes, and tidal energy from the moon tugging on our oceans, but they are completely, utterly dwarfed by the sun. The sun is the undisputed champ, powering pretty much everything, our weather, our oceans, and almost all life, with a staggering 99.985% of the total energy. And we can see that solar power in action everywhere. Let's take the water cycle. That solar energy heats up the hydrosphere, right? It causes water to evaporate up into the atmosphere, then it cools down, forms clouds, gravity does its thing, pulls the water back down as rain or snow onto the geosphere and the biosphere, and the whole journey starts all over again. It's the perfect example of energy driving a cycle through all the spheres. Okay, now for another critical cycle, carbon. And get ready for this, because this fact is a real head spinner. We talk a lot about carbon in the atmosphere, and for good reason, but that's just a tiny, tiny fraction of the total. The vast, overwhelming majority of it, 99.9% of all the carbon on Earth, is locked away in the geosphere, stored in rocks like limestone and in fossil fuels. And that carbon is always on the move. Plants are pulling it out of the atmosphere to grow. Animals are breathing it back out. It's dissolving into the hydrosphere. But that fourth step on the list, combustion, that one's different. For millions and millions of years, that carbon was safely tucked away in the geosphere. But by burning fossil fuels, we're taking that ancient carbon and moving it back into the atmosphere at a frankly incredible speed. And that last step, combustion, well, that brings us right to our own role in this incredibly delicate system. For most of Earth's long history, these cycles have kept things in a pretty remarkable balance. But human activity has started to push on that system, to really stress the connections that keep our planet running smoothly. And this slide just lays it all out, side by side. When the system is in balance, you get a stable climate, you get amazing biodiversity, and those life-giving cycles are all regulated. But when we knock it out of balance, say by moving way too much carbon from the ground to the air too fast, we start to see the symptoms. Global warming, our oceans becoming more acidic, desertification. We're basically changing the planet's global conversation. Which leaves us with one final and really important question. Once you understand that everything is connected, that the air is connected to the oceans to the rocks, and all of it is connected to life, it really changes how you see your own place in the world. So, knowing that our planet is one big interconnected system, what part will you play in its future? Thanks for joining me.